Hello and welcome to Yoga with Amy. Welcome to our RV. This is our new home, and I had to record inside today because the weather this week is just not cooperating. So, welcome. We're going to get started right away. This is just going to be a short 15-minute class, an all over class, going to hit all the major body parts. You won't need any props necessarily. Potentially, you might need a strap if your shoulders are really tight, but you can get away without having a strap, and possibly blocks or a blanket if you like to sit up on a blanket. So we're going to get started with a quote by Lao Tzu. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. All right, so we'll get started today in a simple child's pose. So go ahead and come to a nice wide-legged child's pose. Sitting your seat back on your heels or prop it on a blanket if you need to, and come forward any amount. You could put a block under your head. You can come bring your forehead to the ground. You could stay up on your forearms. Whatever is best for you, but find a comfortable spot here in child's pose. And we're going to take a few deep breaths here and arrive on our yoga mat. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose at your own pace. We're simply arriving on our mat. Just feel grounded. Feel all of your body that is in contact with the ground. Feel that touching the ground right now. Maybe it's your forehead, your hands, your knees, your toes. Breathing here. Just arriving. This is a great pose to do anytime. Anytime I'm going to sit up more right so you can hear me better. But you go ahead and stay in child's pose. Child's is a great pose to take anytime you're doing a vinyasa flow class or something where you're going to take a rest. Child's pose is a great resting pose. So go ahead and breathe there for a few more rounds. In and out through your nose at your own pace. Remember, you can always prop your seat up if you find that your seat doesn't quite come to your heels. Over time, it will. It will. Another inhale. And exhale, let all that go. And now we're going to come up to all fours. So we're going to start out with a calf stretch. And from all fours, so your shoulders are above your wrist and your knees are below your hips. We're just going to stretch the right foot back. And I'll turn to the side here so you can see it a bit. I apologize for the small space. What can I say? Small space living. And you're just going to stretch that foot back so that you're really getting a nice calf stretch. So stretch it back as far as you can so you've got your toes on the ground and your heel is stretching back. So breathe here for a couple of rounds. Inhales and exhales with that right foot back, keeping a flat back the best you can. Navel to spine. And exhale, bring that knee back. And now we'll do the left leg. So go ahead and stretch that left leg back. Your toes are on the ground and your heel is stretching back. Really stretch out those calves. And breathing here. Again, flat back the best you can, navel to spine. And from here, we're going to go into balancing table. Now, you can do the full pose if you'd like, or parts of it, whatever you feel like doing today. So we're going to start out with, part of it would be just using the left arm forward and staying here. And you can stay here and breathe, or if you feel steady and ready, go ahead and pick up that right foot, so the opposite foot, and stretch it back. Now, the idea here is to keep your back as balanced and as steady and as straight as possible without slumping into it. Release that, and now we'll do the other side. It's hard to do that. Talk through that pose while doing it. All right, so now right hand forward. Again, you could stay right here. This is a good balancing pose. So the idea is bring your navel into your spine. Maintain that nice flat straight back. And now if you're able to and you feel ready to, go ahead and stretch out the opposite leg, that left leg out behind you. So now you're balancing. And I'll do a little side here so you can see it. So it's opposite leg and arm out, trying to maintain that flat back. And exhale and release that back down. Nicely done. So from here, we're going to just step the right foot forward and come on up into a high lunge. So go ahead and come all the way up with your right knee bent forward and your back leg is back and straight. And we're just going to bring our arms into cactus shape today. So just really to help open up the chest and the shoulders. And we're going to breathe here. Breathing in and out through the nose at your own pace. And coming up out of your hips. So trying to You don't want to jut your hips forward or your ribs forward too much. You want to be coming straight up out of your hips the best you can. You can always sink that knee deeper if you want for a little more, or you can back out of it a little bit more and come out of it. So depending on where you're at today, test that out for yourself. With arms in cactus, breathing here, balancing. This is also a balancing pose, which is working your core. It's working your legs. I can feel it. And from there, let's go ahead and step forward. And let's just exhale and fold forward and let all of that go. Inhale and halfway lift. Here's where if you had blocks, you can put your hands on blocks, or you can also put your hands on shins, but keep micro bend in your knees so you don't overextend your knees, hyperextend your knees. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. Once more, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. That series of combination of poses is also great to help open up the hamstrings, get everything loose. And so if you only have a minute or two, it's a great thing to do in the morning, afternoon, evening, whenever. From here now, we're going to step the right foot back, left foot forward and bent, and come all the way up to a nice high lunge. So your left foot is forward, your back leg is back, your right leg is back, and that one's straight. Again, you can back off the bend in your knee if you'd like, or if you want more, come into a deeper bend. Bring the arms up to a nice cactus shape. Feel the chest opening and broadening, and your shoulders are down, your shoulder blades are down your back. Breathing here at your own pace. In and out through your nose. Find that steady gaze so that you can hold your balance, because it does require balance too. When you do a shorter class, you kind of have to put things together. So we're doing balance, we're working on the cores engaged here, the legs are engaged, the shoulders, all in one pose. And from there, go ahead and bring your hand, come on back down to all fours. And we'll sit back on our heels for just a moment. Now from here, we're going to go into the next pose that's going to strengthen the shoulder girdle, the arms, that's going to stretch out the legs. So lots of different things here. Now, if you find that dolphin, because we're going to do dolphin pose, if you find that dolphin is too intense or too much for you today, I'll show you the variation, which is puppy pose. So I'm going to show you the variation really quick. Puppy pose is just come to all fours. And from there, step both of your arms out, a nice big step in front of you. And then you're just going to bow forward with your forehead on the ground, keeping your elbows lifted off the ground. So your hips will go up. And breathing here. And this is a perfectly great pose. Now, if you'd like to try out dolphin, dolphin is bring both of your forearms down. So you're still in that all fours position, but now you have your forearms down. Your hands are out straight in front of you. And your knees are below your hips. And from here, you're just going to tuck your back toes and lift your hips up and walk your feet in a little bit. So you shorten your stance a bit. And now you're in dolphin pose. So you're pushing up through your elbows, not collapsing down. Breathing here in and out through your nose. You can have a bend in your knees to help there, or you can be in puppy pose again if this is too intense. So breathing here for a few rounds. I always say just because you're doing a shorter class doesn't mean you're getting less of a workout. You can always combine poses, combine all kinds of stuff that's going to help throughout. Breathing here. Keep those hips up. And exhale, come on back down. And that was an inversion, a mild inversion. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and bring our head to the floor for a brief child's pose. And breathe and come back up. If you find you are lightheaded after doing a pose like that, just go ahead and stay in child's pose a little bit longer. Sometimes that switch from the inversion coming up right can make some people a little dizzy. So always go in a child's pose right after any kind of inversion. All right, so from here, sit back on your heels for a moment. And we're going to go into what is called cow face pose, or Sanskrit Gomukhasana. So we're going to do the arms and the legs and the arms. But if you find that for you the legs is best to just sit, you can always just sit in a simple cross-legged position. So I'm going to show you legs. If you're like, that's not going to work for then come to simple cross-legged, you'll still get the same benefit with your arms. So from here, if it feels all right with your knees, go ahead and cross your right knee over your left knee. So your feet will be off to the side and your knees will be stacked-ish. I mean, for some people, that's much harder to do, especially when you're first starting. The more your feet are out, the harder this pose is. The closer they are into you, easier it is. So pick your variation. If you find that this just doesn't work for you, then come to that simple cross-legged seated position. Otherwise, bring arm. So I'm sorry, since our right leg is on top, we're going to bring the left arm up. And you could simply stand and just do this tricep shoulder stretch right here. That's one option. The other option is take your right arm with your right palm facing backward, bend it in, and reach up and either clasp the hand if you're able to clasp it. If not, just reach a hold of your shirt or a strap if you have that nearby. And I'll turn around so you can see what that looks like from behind. So you may be where you can clasp, depending on how open your shoulders are. You may find that you're more here, and that's fine. You can just grab a hold of your shirt or a strap. So pick the variation that works for you. You will find again over time that will also get easier. So breathe here for another round or two. Really breathing in and feeling that opening in your legs and also in your arms. Again, we're combining different body parts all in one pose. Exhale, release that. And from there, now we're going to just switch across our legs. So if you are simple seated cross-legged, then go ahead and switch and put your left in front. Otherwise, your left knee will go on top of your right knee. Legs will be out to the feet will be out to the side. Sit up nice and tall on your sitting bones. Try not to be slumped over. You want to be sitting up as much as you can, or sit up on a blanket. Always remember, you'll find over time which props are important for you. So bring those to those classes. If you know that you always need a blanket, bring one. Blocks, straps, all of those are wonderful tools. So grab them. Otherwise, from here, we now have our left leg on top. So we'll have our right arm up. So you can bring your right arm up and bend it over, and either grab a hold of your right elbow with your left hand and just pull it in for a nice tricep shoulder stretch, or bring that left arm out and to the side, palm facing backwards, bend it in, turn it around, and clasp that other hand, or grab a hold of your shirt, whatever you have access to. And everyone's shoulders are different. So the more that you work on this, the more you'll be able to bring it closer to clasping. It does take time, especially if your shoulders are really tight. Breathing here. Another inhale. And exhale, release all that and shake that all out. Stretch your legs out long on the mat for a moment. Just stretch it all out. Lay wide-legged straddle here. So go ahead and stretch your legs out on your mat. You can turn sideways if you like. Any amount. So if you like to go wider, go wider. Sit up nice and tall. If you find that this is a good place to stay, then stay right here. Otherwise, inhale. And now we're just going to exhale and fold forward any amount. So again, there's no trophy for getting further down. It's really finding how you can lift yourself up out of your hips, tilt forward in your hips, and come forward. If you find that you're really bad on your back, it's better to stay upright and work this. Eventually, over time, you will start to be able to do that tilt. But it's best to stay upright until that tilt comes. When you're not tilting and you are just rounded, then you're actually not helping yourself. So it's better to stay upright. So breathe here, in and out through the nose, stretching all that out. That's good. And inhale slowly, come back up, walk your hands in slowly. And then from there, we're just going to come into bridge. So I'm going to swing around here so you can see bridge from a different perspective. Go ahead and lay back on your mat. Your feet planted on the ground. So your heels are about hip distance apart. And from here, keeping your knees pointed up toward the ceiling so they don't splay out or in. Going to lift your hips up any amount into bridge pose. You can walk those shoulder blades back underneath of you on your back. And this just stretches everything out that we've worked today. So we have done some core work, even though we didn't have just a targeted core pose. We've worked some of that, so this helped me stretch that out. When we did balancing table and our lunge, all of that's working the core and helping to stabilize and strengthen that area. Breathing here. Exhale, come back down. And then from here, go ahead and bring both of your knees into your chest. Hug them in, give them a nice squeeze. And then exhale and bring both knees over to the left. Your right arm out to the right for a nice supine twist, releasing all of that in your spine, everything you've done today. Breathing here. Always remember to breathe. That's such a big, important part of yoga. And inhale, bring your knees back up to center. Hug them in again. And now we're going to bring them over to the right-hand side. Both knees to the right, left arm out to the left, looking over to the left. And really feeling that stretch and all along your spine. You can always keep your legs up more upright if they don't come all the way down, or put a pillow or blanket or something underneath of them. Lots of modifications in yoga, and you still get the benefits. Inhale, bring your knees back up. And from here, just go ahead and stretch out long on the mat. Come into a nice Shavasana, really stretching out, stretching your arms, your legs. If you have the luxury of lots of room, then definitely take up all the room you can. Or if you're in a smaller space like me, you can always still manage to find some room to take up. So just really stretch out here long on the mat. You stay there. I'm going to guide you through this Shavasana. You do always have the option, if you prefer, feel free to come up for a seated meditation if you'd prefer seated meditation. Breathing here. Letting everything go into the mat. Feeling proud of yourself for taking time out of your day to get on your yoga mat. You did something great for your body, and your body that's going to reward you for that and thank you for that. About 30 quiet seconds here before we wrap up class today. If you have more time and able to stay, I recommend staying longer if you have the time. For those of you, I'm trying to keep this shorter, under 20 minutes. Please come on back up. Put your knees in your chest. Come back up to a seated position. Take a nice inhale, exhale. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this short but effective practice, and I hope to see you next time. Namaste.